This is the ambient temperature for the test. So we're looking at 12 degrees Celsius, about 54 Fahrenheit. Battery, I started the battery at about 8.36 volts. And I'm going to go ahead and take the car, set up the drag, and see how it does. So the question is, can the new BL-2s handle the max gearing available? And the max gearing is a 55 tooth spur with a 35 tooth pinion. So again, 55 spur, 35 pinion. On the motor mount, you would be placing the screws in B. So it'd be B as in Bravo. That's where you would put the screws. And that's what I was curious into, putting those gears and see how the motor would do. And if I burn up the motor, I burn up the motor. No big deal. Well, actually, it is a big deal. It's coming out of my RC budget. I have to go cry to my wife, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. But here we go. Drag. Pretty smooth. Actually, I really like the way the car handles it. Now, keep in mind that it's not the stock suspension. You can watch my other video to see how I tuned it. But before I talk about tuning, the next thing I did is I set a timer for 5 minutes, and I have a charged pack. So now I'm just going to run the car back and forth, and you can see how I'm running the car for approximately 5 minutes. Now, I say approximately 5 minutes because I started a little late, and I'm going to end probably a little late. And right here, I can't really run it as hard as I could because of vehicles. They don't seem to... No, I'm kidding. I was going to crack a joke, but I'm not going to. Obviously, it's a public road. But this is very, very nice. And the top speed, which is something that many of you are probably interested, was 62 kilometers per hour. 62 kilometers per hour, that's roughly 38 miles per hour. So 62 kilometers according to my GPS, my SkyRC. And the 0 to 40 times, let me go ahead and slide those in really quick. They are a 335, a 335, and a 334, but for some reason I can't get the full time to actually appear on the screen, so I do apologize, but it is a 334, the fastest time. So very, very consistent. And once in a while you can hear the motor cog, and that's normal. Don't worry about it. It's just geared pretty high, and it's a sensorless motor, so it's normal that they cog. If it were censored, we wouldn't have that cogging, or if it were brushed, brush motors are very smooth. So that is something to keep in mind. So the point is, from running it for 5 minutes with the max gearing based on what it comes with, again, it's on the motor mount, it's A, and then the pinion is a 35, the spur is a 55. Now, that's on A. B, sorry, I apologize if I said A, I meant B, so you're going to set it on B for it. I did not try C to see if I could fit a 36 or a 37 on the next gear. I do have a 37, but I didn't think of doing that, I'll be honest. But I was actually very, very pleasantly surprised. So once again, if you remember the ambient temperature, it was a very nice day at 12 degrees Celsius, 54 Fahrenheit roughly, which is great. It's really great weather right now. This is, beautiful. You can see the sky. This is perfect. If it could be like this every day, that would be awesome. Although I guess we do need some rain from time to time. It can rain when it's dark and I'm asleep. But moving on, the car performed quite well. There's no fade at all from the car. And the temperatures that it reached after 5 minutes when I temped it using my temp gun are the following. 167 Fahrenheit, which is approximately 75.1 Celsius. This is acceptable. I know some people make a big deal once they go over maybe 70 degrees, but to be honest, the motor doesn't really care. This is acceptable temperature that you can run your vehicles. And this is after 5 minutes of running, so still running the car as I'm running now. And I do know this is a little different than running on a track because it would be more accelerating, braking, and braking is really what heats up the motors a lot more. It does take a lot of energy to brake and then accelerate. So that is something to keep in mind. But based on what I'm running now, 5 minutes, motor was perfect. So the answer to the original question, can the new BL-2s handle the max gearing, that being a 55 spur with a 35 pinion, the answer is yes. I mean, this thing is amazing. Brushless is wonderful, and it definitely is worth the investment. This is something that I would strongly recommend. If you've watched some of my other videos where I talk about the BL-2s, you'll realize that the problem with the Titan isn't power or RPM, it's heat management. It just overheats, and once you start overheating those brushed motors, you're going to start destroying them. Well, any motor, any electronic. But those brushed motors are particularly sensitive to heat. Unlike this one, which can manage a lot better, dissipates heat better. Well, it's probably not necessarily the heat dissipation, but it just doesn't create that much heat. And here, there was actually a point where I just put my foot in front of the car, and then I just started spinning the wheels. Why? Because I wanted to keep some heat in the motor and heat in the tires. And I believe it's right here. Yep, this is it. So as I'm waiting for the cars, I'm just lighting up the tires. Why? Because I want to keep that motor working. And if you think about the amount of stress that that motor's enduring in that moment, that's quite a bit. So yes, I'm pretty impressed. Now, if the weather were a lot hotter, I would have to gear much lower. So would I recommend this gearing forever and ever? No, I would not. Because once the ambient temperature goes up, then the motor temperature will also go up because less of it will be able to dissipate into the ambient as quickly or efficiently as it would now. So keep that in mind. So something that I would consider is actually the 62 spur, which I do have that gear, and that might turn into the permanent gear that I will use. That being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.
What? Oh, my hair! My car! My rod!